priceless moment in the whole history of man. All the people on this earth are truly one.
When we look back into the sun, this is serial light that we left will not burn out. While to where we run, in the time that we had, it was worth it to know that.
Tinsley sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the 8th. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordy Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Get your foot there.
He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No.
Canvas is going to win. FTF.GG welcomes you to the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. It's race 8 of round 1 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series from Charlotte. This is it. We're done after tonight with round number 1. We started with more than 1,000 drivers back at Daytona in February. We wrap it up right here, right now. Top 70 in points. Move on to round number 2. Hi, everybody. Jacob Pitts, James Pike, Justin Malillo with you. You can't see Justin, but I promise he's here. Caleb's off in Indianapolis, so you just get the two of us tonight. And, well, here we are. We ended this series a year ago here at this same racetrack, and it was interesting, James, because of what we saw with the guys on or near that cut line for the top 70 in points. A lot of shuffling around to try and make sure that you're locked into round number 2.
I talked to some of the drivers around that cut line earlier today, and the general consensus I picked up is that they thought that the other folks near that bubble were going to be a little bit more aggressive than usual, especially in the first half of this race, to try and maintain their points position or get within the top 70, which is where you need to be by the end of tonight in order to receive an invitation into round 2 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Likewise, there are some drivers that recognize this that are in the mix that may or may not be in that top 70 tonight that might slide back towards the tail end of the field and let chaos unfold in front of them and then pick their way through it later on in the race. There are other drivers that may try and control their destiny by controlling the race from the front of the pack. There are multiple roads that you can take to get the points that you need in order to get into the top 70, depending on where you run in your race and even what split you have decided to run in. But again, all that matters at the end of the day is that by the time the checkered flag falls at every split tonight, you are one of the top 70 drivers in the standings, and you get the invite into round 2 when it kicks off in July.
And you talk about drivers choosing to be in a split. In a sense, they can't choose what split they're in, but, pull little strings with the iRating and, maybe magically not do so well this week, and all of a sudden, instead of being in top split, you slide down to second split or something along those lines, and that could help you as far as being stronger in that split. You win, you get more points.
I think the biggest thing that we can acknowledge on that front is that you do earn more points for finishing well in a lower split than you would finishing poorly in a high split. And that does affect drivers' decisions on what they run, where they want to be, whether or not it's better to be in top split, second split, third split. It can make a difference in the end. So part of the strategy game has already been taking place before we even hopped on air today.
That it has. Right now, qualifying underway. About a minute to go in qualifying. Let's take a look at points here, if we can. We are color-coded for tonight. If you're green, you're locked in. So your top 17, you see, with the drop included, are locked in. A couple of our winners are on there from round number 1. DeMerchant, LaPrade, Navarro, Alfala all have gone to victory lane this season. Botafuco, the first one, not officially locked in, but above the cut line coming into the race. That's what yellow means. That means you're above the top 70 coming in, but you're not quite yet locked realistically, though. Guys like Botafuco that are close to that locked-in line, they should be okay, barring any horrific accidents. We continue to slide on through. These folks are all okay. This is where things get busy, James. Around that 50th position or so, only about 80 points separating them from the cut line. These are the folks I think we're going to be watching more than not as far as points are concerned and trying to point their way in and not have the folks behind them pass them in points.
In a general sense, 50th through 90th in points entering tonight is the range that realistically we are going to keep our eyes on. Within that set of 40 drivers, 20 will advance to round 2, but there will be a few who started tonight inside the top 70 that will fall out. There are a few that started outside the top 70 tonight that will race their way in. So, worth noting. But if you're looking at historic trends and where the shuffles come from in points, generally speaking, at this point in the season is from that range.
And right now, we're projecting 120th or worse, so more than 200 points out. You're going to remain out going into round number 2. Let's take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race here at Charlotte. Zach Nichols on pole position. Set the Merchant to the outside. Taylor Hurst, Christopher Pfeffer in row number 2. Jake Matheson, Andrew Navarro, row 3. Good run for Matheson, trying to get himself in. Same for Boyd Hogan there in 8th. He's alongside Agnell Phillip. Noah Bitts and Ray Alfala round out the top 10.
Daniel Botafuco will roll on from the 11th position, joined on the outside of row 6 by Logan Helton. Dominic Lukumski and Jonathan Delaney make up the 7th row. Kenny Brady starts in 15th alongside Kenny Humphrey. Max Brady, his brother, starting right behind him on the grid in 17th. 18th on the grid is Kwame Scott. James Holzer starts 19th, and 20th on the grid is twitch.tv/his house's very own Eric Royce.
21st tonight is Blaze Crawford. Matt Danson to the outside. Danson's had a rough go of it this year. He will not advance to round number 2. Anthony Burrows and Kevin Champagne there in row number 12. Haven't heard much from either driver so far through the first 7 races here in Top Split. Larry Pace, he won the season opener at Daytona. He will not advance to round number 2. Daniel Eberhardt to the outside. Joseph and Octavio Rondoletto trying to make their way in at the last second. They're in row 14. Same with Jake Sylvia in row 15. PD Zeller to the outside. Your final 5, Matt Kemp, locked in. Jordan Kuntz on the outside looking in. Frisch is locked in, traditionally starting from the back. And Jake Nichols is currently in, trying to keep himself in. Shotgun on the field. 34 trucks set to do battle here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Field is rolling. Let's talk strategy with Mr. Malello. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing good, guys. What's going on? Looking at the strategy that we got for tonight, it should be pretty straightforward. It should be a one pit stop race. As a lot of these have been, it's only 100 laps. Split it right down the middle, maybe go a little bit less, maybe go a little bit longer, try to catch a caution at the right time. Not much going with strategy unless we start getting some cautions in the fold tonight, but should be a pretty straightforward race. A lot of these guys just looking for the most points that they can get.
That is the name of the game here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Nichols and DeMerchant on the front row. We get set to get rolling in the last race of round number 1. Now, we'll see how round number 2 plays out. Now, here we go. Field making their way through 3 and 4 behind the pace car. He'll go to the safety of pit lane. Nichols and DeMerchant on the front row. Green flag, we're racing at Charlotte. Look at those paint schemes pop in. Here we go, green flag. Trouble, turn 2, one truck sideways. Eberhardt back up into traffic. Frisch into the outside wall. Sylvia around. Caution is out off turn number 2. Daniel Eberhardt was the first truck sideways after he had contact with Sylvia. And it's a 3-truck crash in the back of the field that brings out the first caution flag of the night, James. And 34 and 28, Sylvia and Eberhardt getting together sparked that whole deal.
My first thought was to immediately go to the point standings and see where everyone was unofficially. Frisch is already locked in. This will not affect him all that much. Eberhardt was not officially locked in, but relatively high on the points. 26 unofficially coming in tonight, 170 points, or 774 points clear of the job. Jake Sylvia is the one who bites the dust as a result of this incident. He entered tonight outside of the top 70. This will effectively end his campaign to make round 2 on the very first lap of the race. Unfortunate for him, but on a night like tonight, that's where I think a lot of people's minds are going to go, is when incidents like this happen, who gets involved, where do they sit in points, and how does that change the math here? Eberhardt may become a little bit more vulnerable. We'll see what he's able to accomplish over the course of the rest of this race, but the other two didn't really affect things all that much.
He's out. He's out of the race. He is done. He has parked the car. He has left the server. Eberhardt will finish 34th tonight. He will pass nobody. So Eberhardt is going to get last place points, and he'll move on from there. So depending on how well the guys behind him do, he could find himself on the outside looking in by race end, and it's because of a crash in turn 1 of lap 1. Couple of trucks pitting at the back of the field. Those up front, though, will stay out. We're under our first caution flag on the opening lap of this race.
His drop, just looking at this, he finished 30th 2 weeks ago at Darlington, so this will replace that, and the points from Darlington will count. I don't think, by extension, that that's going to change too much for him, because that drop was already relatively low. So actually, I take that back. No, drop was Dover, where he finished 35th and got 5 points. So even still, it was a low finish. I don't think this is going to change much. It won't affect that much math with the drop, but because his current drop as is before tonight was already so low. So it probably won't hurt him all that much. Well, by the way, while we're here and we have a moment under yellow, we'll tackle some of the weather and track conditions that we didn't get the chance to hit before the green flag. Tonight, the in-sim time is May 27th, 2023, right around 7:30 p.m. local time. So if you're doing the math, that's this Saturday evening upcoming. Likely more sunny here in the sim than we expect it to be in real life, where weather is forecasted throughout the Carolinas over the weekend. Partly cloudy skies, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp, track temp, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, wind set to the south at 6 miles an hour, and humidity 56%. So, balmy. Just a hair of a breeze. Not a bad night for racing outside the real Queen City, with apologies to anyone with ties to Cincinnati, as family members of old in my camp would have called it. But drivers don't particularly care about that so much as they do the racing and how that will affect their truck and how it handles and how it performs over the course of the next 96 laps.
You know, not liking the what's upcoming as far as this weekend down in Charlotte as far as weather is concerned. But you say weather forecasted. Isn't weather forecasted every day? It's good weather, bad weather. Nonetheless, Nichols and Hurst.
I'm looking forward to another manic Monday. That's my fun day.
All right, well, Zach Nichols going to try and run away here. Restart, 4 laps complete. Nichols and Hurst on the front row. We'll try it again. Green flag, great launch from Nichols. He's out in front by a truck length and a half down to turn number 1. Let's see if we can at least make it up to high gear by the time they make it to the back straightaway.
So while Jacob stews over the fact that I was able to make a legitimate reference to the Bengals, we'll keep an eye on Nichols. Taylor Hirsch has been able to close that gap just a little bit off the restart. They look at the battles, 4th, 5th, 6th. Jake Matheson, Christopher Pfeffer to his outside, Andrew Navarro, Boyd Hogan, Agnel Phillip all in tow, and then Logan Helton and Ray Alfalla making tracks on the outside lane, back right around the 10th position.
Petey Zeller about got run over by Jordan Kuntz through turns 3 and 4. He was able to keep the car pointed in the right direction, but yeah, that got dicey. That's back 28th, so again at the back of the field. But they're able to sort it out, at least for now. Zeller's one of those guys that is on the outside looking in. Single file, your first 5 or 6 trucks. Ray Alfalla on the outside line, scooting by Boyd Hogan, now trying to get to the top side of the winner 2 weeks ago at Darlington, Andrew Navarro.
Navarro, who had plenty of speed last year in round 2 of the qualifier series. That's where he really shined. We'll see him in round 2 again in July. He's already locked his way in. And then Ray Alfalla, what a wild story he had. The first time ever that he has fallen into the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. One of the few drivers that wasn't ever present in the Coke series from its inception in 2010. Was able to get some wins in round 1 in the top split. We will see him in round 2 as well, as he looks to reclaim his place amongst the top 40 drivers in all of eNASCAR. And making that outside lane work, I think of our friend Blake McCandless and how he loves to use the outside a mile and a half, especially at the beginning of green flag runs. It works now. However, you burn your tires up a little bit more running out there, so at some point you figure Ray will have to get down to the bottom. The question is, when does he decide to make that switch?
We'll have to see as we continue to click off laps. 8 laps complete here at the start-finish line, and for Alfalla, as you mentioned, has a win this season back at Bristol. And I almost think, James, round number 1 a little too easy for the driver of the 2. I know he had some issues on the racetrack in the first 2 races of the year, crashed big at Daytona, didn't quite have the race that he wanted out at Las Vegas, but he's shown speed. Round number 2 is going to be a lot harder, though, because he's going to be racing more drivers that are going to be on the same level as him.
It's going to be harder for everybody just because the level of competition goes up and there's not really anywhere to run or hide. All the drivers are snaked into 2 splits of equal standing. Yeah, Max Brady, you saw that too. He got loose, caught the apron on the exit of turn 2, and will lose at least 3 or 4 spots. Kwame Scott, Kenny Humphrey, Blaze Crawford, able to get around him, and he'll slide back to the 19th position. But it's 2 splits that are evenly snaked. They take all of the I ratings and separate them and give us 2 equal fields that will run each round throughout the late summer and early fall until we get to our finale at the end of September. We'll take the top 20 in points for round 2. They will advance to the Contender Series later on in the autumn.
Jonathan Delaney's going to need a new pair of pants trying to avoid Max Brady there. That got dicey, and he was able to sneak by, but he had to lift.
It got scary TM, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yep, 3 wide further back. That's the 29 of Jordan Kuntz in the thick of that. DeWalt truck there in the middle.
Matt Danson
26.
is there. Joseph
Yep.
Joseph is there.
They sorted out. Meanwhile, here comes Alfalo for second, up toward the front. He is moving right now. He's still not quite as fast as Zach Nichols, but he's able to take over that second position this last lap. He was a little over a tenth faster than your race leader. His lap traffic already. Frisch with the damage up on the high side and out of the way.
So Frisch will stay out of the way. Everybody has to work their way around him. I'll be curious to see where we sit when Frisch gets to turn 4. Turn 2 is relatively wide here. Turn 4 is the narrow one. So we look at around Lukomsky, Delaney, Kwame Scott, Blaze Crawford, Kenny Humphrey. They clear off that narrow exit of turn 4, and they will work their way around Michael P. Frisch. No incidents up within the top 20 so far, although they're going to take it 3 wide underneath him. But no contact, no problems. Everybody clear of the damaged truck. Michael P. Frisch, Nichols, Alfala, Taylor Hurst, Merchant, Hogan, your top 5, and then it's Navarro and Agnell Phillip.
Couple of drivers chose to take the week off. LaPrade and Mercurio, both not here. They are already locked into round number 2, so they said, why show up? We'll save it. We'll see you in Mid-Ohio in July. That's where the round number 2 begins. And we'll see it here on FTF.GG. Ray Alfala continues to reel in Zach Nichols. He's then about a truck length and a half for the race lead.
Nichols just sitting, waiting, and he was just on the edge of being able to lock himself in coming into tonight. 21st in points, 301 markers above the cut. So he doesn't necessarily need to be running as well as he is to lock himself in, but no one's ever going to complain about a top 5 running in a truck and in a setup like this.
Right on board with the 2 of Ray Alfala. Only DeMerchant has a higher I rating than him.
I think the most interesting thing is that Ray has stayed committed, not necessarily to the high line, but you look at the way he ran 1 and 2 compared to Nichols. In 3 and 4, he followed his tire tracks outright. But last time in 1 and 2, I saw Alfala about a half a lane above where Nichols was on the track. And that to me suggests, and we see it here again, he's a little bit slower to get down to the apron. So I wonder, maybe it suits his setup a little bit better to arc and apex later. Maybe he's trying to keep a little bit more air on the nose. There are a few running theories that we can work with here, but the reality is that Taylor Hurst is running him down bit by bit, lap by lap.
$18 laps complete in the final race of round 1 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Had a caution on the opening lap. We've been green since then. We Scott, Max Brady side by side. Here comes Dominic Lukomsky under Botafuco as well. Botafuco all but locked in. Lukomsky is near that cut line, only 35 points in, so truck number 19 needs a good run tonight.
He does. 13th, though, isn't necessarily bad. in a scenario like this. That probably won't be enough to lock him in outright just off the finish, but with the way everything else falls, it would essentially require anybody who's trying to leapfrog you to have a top 5 finish or a podium or potentially a win, especially in another split, in order to leapfrog where Lukumski is.
Alfalla drop kicked back to 4th. See DeMerchant there in the 5th spot, sporting some red, white, and blue on that number 1. Memorial Day weekend, this weekend, here in the U.S.
Probably going to have more laps running with the Memorial Day scheme here than anybody will before Monday or Tuesday in real life, just with the way things are looking. That being said, Indianapolis should get a huge ratings boost, I would think, as the likely show in town in America that day.
Well, I will be disappointed because then I will probably miss the 600 and the whatever the race name and number is called for the Xfinity Series.
The Alsco 300, as a matter of
work.
fact.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was 300
and
or
I believe this
or what.
is, I think this is like the 14th or 15th year that the North Carolina Education Lottery has come back to be the primary partner for the Truck Series race, which makes that one of the longest running partnerships for a single race in the entirety of the Craftsman Truck Series. How about that?
That's sad more than anything, I think.
Trivia TM.
Alfalla under the gun here from Jake Matheson. Matheson, one of those guys that is on the outside looking in, having a good run so far. In that number 18. Trouble, Kuntz, caution.
Oh, that's
Kuntz
big in the
Champagne,
back.
big crash on the back straightaway.
Big
4 or
accident.
5 trucks in it. Kevin Champagne, Octavio Rondoletto, Jake Nichols, I think may have gotten a piece of it. Jordan Kuntz as well. It started with Joseph, it looks like, getting into Kevin Champagne. Joseph does an incredible job keeping it off the inside safer barrier, outside of the damage now to the right front of that machine. That thing is in mint condition. The trucks behind him, not so much. Here's the replay. Truck 26 on the bottom is Joseph. Champagne to the outside. There's a little bit of net code right there. And watch the 26 comes down, does not hit the inside wall. Calamity behind him.
Yeah, trouble there. He sort of slid up the racetrack a little bit. I couldn't tell if he got tight underneath Champagne on corner exit or whether or not the truck just fell away from him. One of the two, but trouble there, and our second yellow flag of the evening that takes out a good chunk of those folks running from 20th on back.
Trucks making their way to pit lane. And I'm curious what this does to strategery here, Justin. Only 24, 25 laps in, and the field's already on pit road.
Well, they do have 4 tire changes available to them, so I'm pretty sure everybody here is going to take 4 tires. See some guys maybe mix it up, try to get some track position, but I don't think it's going to be worth it if it goes green. I don't think they can make it to the end from here, so this is more just getting tires to not completely fall off the pack, and it looks like that was the case down the board. Everybody taking 4 tires here.
I think the race off of pit road goes Nichols, then Navarro barely, then Boyd Hogan, Hurst, DeMerchant, your top 5. There were 4 trucks on top of each other at pit exit. Navarro gunned it and just barely nosed out Hogan. And then there's Hurst, who is inside of Navarro, who is inside of DeMerchant. DeMerchant had pit stall number 2 and came out 4th.
Wild times, basically, is the answer.
Pretty much. I thought we were going to take a look at that race off pit road, but it broke it did. So, very cool. So we're under caution for the second time tonight. 26 laps are complete. We're a quarter of the way through the race. Zach Nichols continues to lead the way. He's led every lap so far. How about take number 2 of the race off the pit lane here? Woof. A lot of truck. All right, let's go back to Justin here, since I believe we're going to get one to go this time. Justin has been Steve Kornacki-esque, keeping track of splits 2 and 3, the folks in, the folks out, and there has been pandemonium in splits 2 and 3, I understand. So, Justin, who's in, who's out?
It's been crazy just going back and forth, flipping back and forth between these two channels. I'm seeing names such as Tommy Gossett, Nate Stewart. They were not locked in. I think Gossett was all right. I think Nate was pretty okay as well. But, I mean, anything can happen. I'm looking at it. Dallas Pistaka also out in Split 2. In Split 3, who is that? Michael Bumgarner. He's out in Split 3, and he was in. He was 20 points to the good in Split 3. Looks like possibly Aaron C. Lee, who was out by 20 points. He's not going to have a chance because he is out of it as well in Split 3. So if you want to take a look at those races, they are live. Split 2 is currently on LSR TV and FTN. Split 3 is over on YJ Media. We're keeping a look at our top split up here, and I think Sylvia is really the only name that had a possibility to get in on lap 1. So maybe Kuntz. Yeah, Kuntz was close. He was 78th. So this is going to be not good for his chances, and we got to see if Champagne and Eberhardt are going to have enough points to advance from where they were.
Yeah, right now, Champagne's still on the pit lane, getting service done to that 31 Chevrolet. Not looking good, but he might be able to get back onto the racetrack and scrounge a couple of more points together if we get some more accidents. 28 laps complete on the restart. Nichols and Navarro on the front row. Green flag.
Nichols with a good jump. Hogan Navarro trying to figure out who wants it. But again, everybody getting to the bottom as soon as they can, which has been prototypical of a lot of these mile-and-a-half races, especially in the top split. Meanwhile, though, how about the action from up front as everybody dances around? Boyd Hogan going to the outside, and Navarro looking up top and set the Merchant. Oh, almost got turned.
There they go.
And then there goes Jake Matheson in trouble.
Into Pfeffer. Caution's out. Another truck down there as well. That's Kenny Brady involved. And they just stacked it on up. Ray Alfala dealt the fatal blow there to Matheson and got him sideways. Nowhere for Christopher Pfeffer to go. And the caution is back out. Out of those involved, Matheson was 73rd in points and has a lot of damage to the left side of that truck. He is going to be not in a good spot here. He was having a great run going, and unfortunately, a guy that's locked in makes contact. And Matheson's shot at making round number 2 may have gone up in smoke. Oh, boy.
We'll get a look at this here. I'd be curious to see. I think Alfala tried to lay off of DeMerchant as best as he could, but that slide from DeMerchant was so long in the middle of the corner. I'm not sure if there's that much you can, or rather not DeMerchant, but Matheson. But the slide from Matheson was long enough that I think there comes a point where there's just nothing you can do.
We're under caution for the third time already here at Charlotte. 30 laps complete. Zach Nichols continues to lead the way. We step aside. We're back after this here on FTF.GG. Back here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the last race of round one of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Go Hershey Bears. They have won game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the AHL. Tied up with Rochester now 1-1 in the series. They'll travel up north and play them, I think, on Sunday, something. Meanwhile, here in reality, a little bit of a discussion between Matheson and Ray Alfalla over the radio, and the premise of it, James, was that, well, Matheson wanted Alfalla to lift. Alfalla said, I couldn't tell what was going on. I don't have a real-life spotter, so I just had to guess.
Which roughly corroborates the point that I made, where you can't, and especially in a situation like that where it's a long, slow slide through the corner, there's only so much you can do. And when you add in the fact that this was just after a restart, everybody was packed in on top of one another, in particular at that point in the fields, really, really tough for Alfalla, I think, to do much of anything beyond what he did. So
Also have to keep in mind that Alfalla locked in. Guys around him were not. Brady is in that 8, but the 18 of Matheson is not. He was having a great run. He's now back in 28th. Still has some damage to the left side of that truck. We'll see how much that could affect him here down the stretch. Meanwhile, the field half a lap away from getting back to the green flag. Nichols and Hogan on the front row. Hogan on the outside looking in. That's why he's in orange. Nichols was above the top 70, but not locked in coming into the race. That's why he's in yellow. Green means you're locked in. Blue means you do not have a chance to make round 2. Pace car is in. 33 laps complete. Nichols back on the gas. Green flag.
2 or 3 truck lengths again. It's been really good restarts so far throughout the evening for Zach Nichols. The question now becomes, where do you 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th settle in by the time they get the turn to the answer? Not really all that much, but Andrew Navarro's been able to work that high lane and clear Taylor Hirsch for second. Boyd Hogan now working the outside to try and get around Hirsch for third. And Ray Alfala's up there trying to roll momentum on quarter exit, but he slips up middle of the corner, so it'll be Hogan and Hurst fighting for that third spot down the front stretch.
Alfala side by side as well, with Noah Bitts in the 14. Seth the Merchant right behind. Here comes Navarro on the top for the lead. And a new leader for the first time tonight. Zach Nichols hands over the reins to the winner from 2 weeks ago.
Navarro has had so much speed in this truck, I think. At this point, especially given how he performed in round 2 last year, his eyes may more be on contender later on this year than they will be round 2, but it's not to say that he isn't a threat pretty much any time he gets behind the wheel of one of these trucks. So the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series that feature in Class C racing and in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing Series. Navarro, Hogan was able to get second. Nichols back to third. Hurst now fighting on the inside still. It's Alfala that's taking the high line to try and get the 4th spot.
By the way, my memory is horrible. I thought Navarro won that race. Agnell Phillip won 2 weeks ago.
Give Agnell his due. How about this?
Yeah.
We're gonna play Zach Johnson's favorite game, and we're gonna talk about a guy, so he's forced to put the camera on them to avoid the battle. Even though this is pretty good here between Taylor Hurst and Ray Alfala, but Agnell Phillip not too far behind this group. He's in the 8th spot. You can see him just creeping into the screen there, just in front of Blaze Crawford, and again, already locked into round 2. Solid run here. We've seen a 51 Pro come on in bits and spurts throughout the last years, but it feels like there's just a little bit more stability in that program this year, and maybe a little bit more speed as well. They seem just a tick faster, and Phillip clearly leading the charge for that punch.
Single file through the top 10. Top 15. First battle is for 20th. Matt Danson and Kwame Scott. That is now over for the time being, and we're back to choo-choo train racing throughout the entire field. Here comes a truck to the inside making a pass. That's James Holzer passing Eric Royce. By the way, just an update. Jake Matheson has parked the truck. He is out. He will not advance to round number 2. Your winner from Dover, back at the end of May, will not race in round 2 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series.
End of April.
What did I say?
You said May.
Yeah, April.
Jacob Hitz, let me ask this. What's the final vowel in the word calendar?
Final vowel in the word calendar.
Mm-hmm. The last one in there when you read out the word.
Well, it's spelled with an A, but
yeah, okay, good.
It sounds more like a.
That's all I needed. I needed to make sure that you would just a good check on you to make sure you're okay. So,
Debatable.
Jacob Hiss's brain is somewhat working. Andrew Navarro's truck is working way better. And then there's this mess here all throughout the middle. Kenny Humphrey, James Holzer, Dominic Lukumsky, Anthony Burrows, Jonathan Delaney, all in this group. This is right around 15th on the racetrack.
Andrew Navarro has opened the lead up to about 0.6 of a second, the largest lead we've seen anybody have today. But as James mentioned, this battle back here for about 15th on back. Burrows, Royce, Humpy, Holzer and company. Kenny Brady back there as well.
In the meantime, not much that you're missing up at the front of the field is one truck, I think, smoking down the backstretch. It's Larry Pace. We're getting word it's having trouble. The leaders are going to pass him a little bit here up the racetrack as they come to 3 and 4. You'll see there is Andrew Navarro rolling into screen, but Larry Pace, we already knew he was not going to be a factor in round 2, so that actually probably helps some of the drivers on the bubble gain one more spot and gain just those few extra points they might need. So if you're anybody a little bit further back, I would think Boyd Hogan in particular is the first that would benefit from this, but there may be some folks right around 15th to 20th that will not be too sad about the fact that Larry Pace's night is done.
Yeah, so he's got damage the front of the truck. And I would imagine that it's an overheating issue for the 4, and that he was pretty much full throttle all the way around the racetrack because of the damage that he had. Not sure where the damage came from exactly, but good amount of right side damage as well. Pace has brought that thing to the pit lane, and his race and his season are both likely over.
Navarro has checked out as much as you can in these trucks on 1.5 miles, 7/10 of a second the lead to Boyd Hogan, then Ray Alfala and Taylor Hurst, then DeMerchant and Bitts, then Phillip, then Crawford, then Brady, then a little bit of a gap from Max Brady to Logan Helton at 11.
Helton's got a train of trucks behind him. Jonathan Delaney, Lukomsky, Anthony Burrows has made his way up inside the top 15. Kenny Brady is there as well. But it is single file almost all the way around the racetrack, and we're slowly but surely running out of trucks left on the racetrack. We started with 34. We're down already to competitive trucks, 26 of them.
We shall see whether or not that holds throughout the rest of this race. It has settled down a little bit over the last few laps. I think if we're watching people right now that could be right on the edge of things, James Holzer, Joseph, Octavio Rondeletto in particular are the 3 that are running right around 15th to 20th, which isn't necessarily terrible, but it doesn't exactly make you comfortable when you think about the gains that you need in order to make it into the top 20 or 70 rather in points.
Oh my gosh, lap traffic is so far off the pace. Petey Zeller about got run over down the back straightaway. Frisch was up by the wall as well. Most folks got around him, but Zeller is crawling around this racetrack, and folks pretty much were pulling out at the last second to pass him, not knowing that he was there because they couldn't see through the truck in front of him.
Making it a little bit dicey. Meanwhile, speaking of dicey battles, Blaze Crawford to the inside of Agnell Phillip just a bit further up the racetrack as you are well clear around a little. There's your battle. This is for the 8th position on the racetrack, and that's Max Brady tucked in just behind the 2 of them.
This time by, we will be halfway home here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, which means we only have 50 laps to go in round 1 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing season.
It is still Navarro here as we are clear of the halfway point. But I love how we're starting to see some of these side-by-side battles really proliferate, especially in the back half of the top 10. Seth DeMerchant and Noah Bitts are fighting one another. We had Phillip and Crawford starting to run different lanes. And then Jonathan Delaney is there. I see Anthony Burrows and Kenny Brady trying to fight for position. Lots of really good stuff here beyond the top 5, who have at this point largely settled into position. And you know that folks like Boyd Hogan aren't really going to try and take too many risks. Everybody else here already in the top 70 entering this evening and looking to maintain their position.
Right on board out the back of Anthony Burrows. It's got Logan Helton now to the outside as Lukomsky makes the pass. Burrows dives underneath. Kenny Brady right behind. He almost gets into the back of the 16 of Helton. But Burrows picks up one spot. Now he'll try and get by Lukomsky.
Convenient, 2-3 wide battle, right? Nothing wild, nothing crazy, nothing fancy here. Anthony Burrows there. Look at Kenny Brady making the move. Did Lukomsky get just a bit of the fence there? I couldn't tell, but from my perspective, it looks like he may have clipped the wall with the right side down the middle of the backstretch.
Really been aggressive over these last couple of laps. Trying to cut his way through the field. Brady already locked in to round number 2.
You can see that something to prove mentality, I think, with Kenny Brady, and the opportunity to compete in round 2. Then was declined an invitation into the Contender Series last year, and very much believes that he has the speed. I chatted with him a little bit, and he said he feels like he can very much be a factor throughout the qualifying series, not just round 1, and that he just wants the opportunity to make it into Contender to prove that he has plenty of speed in his truck, car, whatever the situation may call for, depending on whether or not it's qualifying or Contender. But this is a driver who has been pretty quick throughout the past few years, and certainly has something to prove on a bigger stage if he can get the opportunity.
He's definitely had a lot of speed this season. And I think he would love to get our top 10 finish here, carry that momentum into the road course at Mid-Ohio. A little more than a month from now. Andrew Navarro continues to lead the way. Great run for Boyd Hogan, who was on the outside looking in as far as points are concerned. He's had a real up and down year, and here he is, second on the racetrack, trying to make his way to round number 2.
93rd entering this evening unofficially, 100 points out. This is the kind of run, because we said 50th to 90th. He needed to have a run like this, but this is the kind of run that's very legitimately going to give him a chance to make it, especially when we consider, and I don't know whether or not, Justin, you have any more that you can add on this throughout the past maybe 15 minutes or so, but when we consider the amount of drivers that were sort of on the bubble or on the outside looking in that had trouble early, especially across the top 3 splits, I don't feel comfortable in saying that this outright would most likely put Boyd Hogan in there, but I think if he can maintain this track position, it has to give him a good shot of advancing in round 2, no?
For sure. There are a couple drivers that were in that are definitely going to be looking at being out. I'm looking at these other splits in particular. It looks like Ben Baffert is left down in, I want to say third split, or maybe second split. Michael Bumgarner in third split is having some issues. They were both only 20 points above the cut line, so you got to figure it's 120 points between them and what Boyd Hogan is about to do, possibly. And just looking historically at the points, I mean, Boyd could walk out of here with upwards of like 350 to 400 points, depending on how good this split is in the iRating. So. It definitely is feasible at this moment, but then you got to look at other drivers that are in between him and the drivers that are in, and if they have a good race, and if they don't have a good race, like my calculator's on fire right now, James. It's just insane trying to piece together where everybody is in this points battle. It's going to be crazy figuring out who the top 70 is going to be at night's end.
But I think based upon what you're telling us, I think we can say that drivers like Baffert and Bumgarner are most likely going to finish out of the top 70. We just don't know who's going to replace them yet.
Your leader on pit road, Andrew Navarro, makes the call at lap 60 to bring the truck down to pit road and make his last stop of the night. And this may start the avalanche here and bring a lot of folks with him, Justin.
For sure, and I hear Zach Nichols just come over the radio. He's coming in this time by. They only have to go 40 laps instead of 50 laps now, and this is probably what some of these guys, they don't mind running 10 less laps than they were planning on doing if the race would have went green all the way. So this is still fine. 40 laps is a lot more manageable. Kenny Brady's also on pit road this time by. Only 3 takers so far. Boyd Hogan now in the lead. When will we see some of these other guys come in I'd have to say probably really, really soon, within the next 5 to 10 laps.
It's a waiting game now. Hogan on the brakes. He's coming to pit road.
And the only one out of the top 10, top 15 that's going to come down on this lap. That surprises me a little bit as someone went through the grass in the front stretch. It's Matt Kemp that got some form of help. I couldn't quite tell what. Yeah, he got help on the exit of turn 4, and that just about brought out the caution flag. How that nearly threw a monkey wrench into everybody's plans. Kwame Scott got the fence as a result of that, but Kemp, Scott, and I couldn't tell who the third truck was.
Logan Helton. Or no, I'm sorry, Holzer.
James Holzer.
You watch
right, you
contact there with Holzer, and then netcode kicks the 21 around and up into Kwame Scott and into the fence. Max Brady to the pit lane. He's the only one.
I'm surprised that didn't spook any of like an Alfala or a Hurst or somebody to make a move and come down pit road.
Greg Soto's going to have to walk back to Philadelphia.
Hooray trades, am I right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, hopefully he's on the giving end of a trade. Crawford, Joseph, Kwame Scott, they're all in the pit lane this time by. Jonathan Delaney makes the call. He's currently 7th. He's going to come to the pit lane. Noah Bitts, Holzer, they're all headed to the pit lane. Your top 3 will stay out. Bitts is in 4th, and he makes the call. He'll come to pit road and make his stop. Alfala coming in next time by.
Gregory Soder can't exactly take the midnight train to Georgia if he's already physically in Georgia at this moment. The real question is who will take the train and or start the big train of leaders that will come down pit road, because we've got so many that are still out there riding around. Now, this marks the 40-lap mark since everybody else came in under that yellow flag, so this is about where you would see folks come in. And now here it is right on cue. Ray Alfala is in, Seth the Merchant is in, Anthony Burrows is in, Dominic Lukumsky is in, amongst others. So here are the largest chunk of leaders yet to pit so far, coming in on lap 67 of 100.
Taylor Hurst, currently your leader. He's coming to pit road this time by. As he makes his way through 3 and 4, he makes the call. Agnel Phillip is in 2nd. He's on his way to pit road. Royce is 3rd. He's coming to pit road. It's not easy to pit here at Charlotte, but nobody has sped as Matt Kemp about crashes it right on cue. Talking about how difficult it is to pit here, but nobody speeds coming on to pit road. Impressive.
Leaves Matt Danson as your race leader, then Jake Nichols, then Daniel Buttafuoco, then Octavio Rondeletto, and those 4 are the last ones who will need to come down for service before the lead will cycle back around, I would suspect, to Andrew Navarro and then Boyd Hogan.
That's the way it looks right now. Boyd Hogan is clicking off lap times, though, that are 0.2 a lap faster than Navarro. Problem is, he is 2.7 seconds back. He's going to have to maintain that pace if he wants to get to Navarro and try and win in the last race and get himself in.
This is all on, you would say, Rondeletto. Yeah, Hogan here with the clutch performance of the night so far amongst the drivers that really did need it. You can make an argument for any of the drivers you see in yellow on your screen as those that may benefit from a good run. But Hogan really, not that we have driver of the day here in NASCAR, but if there were such an award right now, it would absolutely go to Boyd Hogan for the big performance when he needed it to try and get himself in round 2.
Buttafuoco to the pit lane. He's off cycle, but I mean, he was all but locked in anyway. Jake Nichols is on the pit lane. Danson and Rondeletto are still the only 2 to stay out here and have not visited pit road here under green. 30 laps to go.
So this is the waiting game for Danson and Ron Doletto in particular, who's not really had too much pace, started in 28th. This is truly, I would think, Justin, the last roll of the dice. If he doesn't get a yellow flag, it has to come down pit road. Realistically, on fuel, probably only about maybe, 10 more laps before he has to come down pit road. And if we go green the rest of the way after that, that's curtains on his opportunity to make round 2.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I don't really see there being an opportunity. He's got a lot of. I just don't see it. But I'm right now. I'm watching this battle with Navarro and Hogan. Hogan is chasing down Navarro. He's got 2-lap fresher tires. That's what I'm watching right now. And I don't know if he's going to get there before the tires equalize. But that's what I'm interested in.
He is closing for sure. The gap is under 0.2 of a second, and Hogan knows that he is closing in. Let's turn it back a little bit. Noah Bitts, Ray Alfala, Blaze Crawford, Max Brady and company, 7th on back.
Brady, I think that almost looked like he tried to back out of whatever battle he was in. Max, that is. As Bitts will lead the pack, then Alfala, then Crawford, and then Max Brady. So we should try to clarify that for everybody watching wherever you may be. But also worth noting that Seth DeMerchant has fresher tires than everyone ahead of him save for Alfala, and subsequently has been closing. Last time by, he was 0.2 faster than Brady. He was even pace, half a tenth rather faster than Crawford, and Noah Bitts was the only one running faster laps ahead of him amongst this bunch. So DeMerchant could figure into the picture here before too long.
This is on board with DeMerchant. And he is reeling those guys in a hurry, about a tenth a lap faster. He's on 3-lap fresher tires.
So this is essentially the same story as Hogan in relation to Navarro. It's just a matter of whether or not he can run down Brady and Crawford and Bitts and Alfala. I doubt if this goes green, he'll get much higher than that, but certainly a few opportunities for positions for DeMerchant, and ultimately, honestly, it probably won't affect much. The biggest thing I'm worried about here is a yellow with some of the lap traffic that we've seen. These drivers have to evade to the inside. This track varies in width. You come out of turn 2, it's a wide sweeping exit. You've got plenty of room. Turn 4, though, however, completely different. Very much a funnel in every classic sense, and there's a bump right on corner exit 2 that can upset the rear end of your truck. So if you catch somebody in the wrong spot at that end of the racetrack, incidents are easy, trouble can happen. We saw it earlier with Jake Matheson and Ray Alfala. May happen again, especially with the different paces as we approach 20 laps to go.
Ron Doletto coming to pit road, this time by. Navarro's only a second back. On Navarro, he's only 8 back. Sorry, Navarro's only a second back on Ron Doletto, only 8 back to Danson, who still has yet to pit. Boyd Hogan, 1.5 seconds back. Still picking up a tenth a lap as we inch closer to 20 laps to go.
Looking here through the field, waiting to see where everyone is, as Octavio Rondoletto is coming in. Danson is the last one, so this really now is a game of Navarro and company for those who still have a legitimate chance to make the top 70. We know Danson is already out of contention, so the question now falls upon everybody in about that 15th-ish ballpark on back. For James Holzer, for Joseph, have they done enough? Has Octavio Rondoletto done enough to give himself a shot? Math would say most likely no, but never can really count out anything, I think, at this stage.
This is true. We're getting closer. We'll have 30 to go next time by. 20 to go next time by. I'll get it right eventually. As Hogan continues to close that gap in, Zach Nichols, one of the fastest trucks here, he's only a half second back on Hogan, and he is running just a tick faster than Hogan. They're still running 31.4s. as Matt Danson's on the pit lane, and Andrew Navarro retakes the lead with 30 to go. Dang it, 20 to go.
Math be good, numbers be strong.
Ay, ay, ay.
You have watching Braves in the regular season brain beat the Phils. I can appreciate that.
Well, I clicked away from it. I think Trey Turner just struck out for the 852nd time tonight. I think that's who that was. Is this Harper? No. Okay, then I don't know who the hell was just in the batter's box, because now it's Bryson Stott. But unfortunately, I don't think he can knock in 3 runs with nobody on base. So, all right. Meanwhile, back to reality, or not reality in this case.
Snap back to
1.2 seconds the
reality.
gap. Yeah.
Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there's gravity. So mad that he choked it. I'll stop.
Rondeletto on fresher tires here, getting by Burrows. That's around the 10th spot. Now, Rondeletto already stopped, or just stopped a couple laps ago, so he is a couple laps down. With those fresher tires, he's able to slide right on through these guys. Noah Bitts, Taylor Hurst in a battle for 7th. That's now done. Blaze Crawford right behind. Oh, and Kenny Brady about. No, who is that? Max Brady about dropped the truck. Now they're 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Convenient there. It's Phillip to the inside. Max Brady, Anthony Burrows in the tightest part of the track. And it looks like Burrows is going to back out of it and think better of trying to get in that mess. So, or rather, Brady was the one who backed out, not Burrows. So Burrows stays ahead of everybody here. Phillip on his inside. Brady now to the outside. And then Jonathan Delaney, that second truck on the inside lane with Dominic Lukumsky tailing this group. This is all right around the 9th position.
Don't count out Ray Alfalla. He is running laps 0.3 faster, or rather 1/10 faster that last time by than Nichols, 0.2 faster than Hogan, 0.3 faster than your race leader. He's just 2 seconds back on your race leader, and he's on fresher tires than all of them. And he's in the tire tracks now of Zach Nichols, who's in 3rd.
This is all beginning to bunch back up because Navarro was the first one to come down pit road. And then it was Nichols. And then it was Hogan. And then it was Alfalla and DeMerchant. And Taylor Hurst even and Agno Phillip have the freshest tires out of anyone else in the top 10. So this could get fun.
And it could. Inside 15 laps to go. Hogan has dropped off and is equalized now with Navarro at about a second. As here comes Alfalla inside Nichols. Nichols can't hold the bottom. Move Alfalla to 3rd.
And DeMerchant looks like he's going to follow suit and potentially take another spot from Zach Nichols and take over the 4th position, as Nichols is just going to run right up the racetrack and get out of the way and slide in behind. Or not. No, he actually got a halfway decent run, more than I even expected, coming off of turn 2. So he'll stay outside of DeMerchant. Alfalla then in 2nd. Just clear of all this and making their way underneath the lap traffic coming out of turn 4, but they are all significantly faster than Boyd Hogan, and Hogan, maybe more importantly, has not really been able to close the gap on Navarro in the last few laps to stay consistent at about a second. So has he run his tires harder than Ray Alfalla, than Seth DeMerchant, than Zach Nichols? All of them have been quicker than our car in P2, or rather truck in P2 the last few laps, so we may see a change for the runner-up spot in the next handful of laps. And then will they have an opportunity to get to Andrew Navarro? Maybe not, if Alfalla and DeMerchant continue to fight for position there door-to-door for the 3rd spot at the start-finish line.
Side by side, DeMerchant going to try and pick up a 2-piece here down in turn number 1. Alfalla hanging tough on the outside. The more they race, that's going to keep Navarro alive out in front. Hogan boxes Alfalla in. Here comes DeMerchant to the inside. Moves Seth DeMerchant maybe to 2nd. Side by side. Hogan can't hold the corner. DeMerchant takes 2nd away. We have not had a repeat winner this season. if second or third place win this race, they'd be our first repeat winner. DeMerchant won at Atlanta, Alfala won at Bristol. 10 to go this time by.
I was watching Boyd Hogan throughout that, and I got a very clear answer as to why his truck has fallen off. That truck is L-O-O-S-E, loose. He lost the rear end on the exit of turn 2. He lost the rear end through the middle and exit of turn 4. That's what allowed DeMerchant and Alfala to clear him. He may lose a position here to Taylor Hurst and Zach Nichols if he's not careful running the bottom now, but I would say he is very much in jeopardy of falling out of the top 5 at this point as he boxes in Nichols, and that may give Taylor Hurst an opportunity to roll the momentum on the high side of turn 2 and draw even with Hogan down the backstretch.
What would save truck number 5 is a caution. Stop the bleeding, get him some fresh tires, and re-rack, try and go back at it. But we are running out of laps for that to be effective for Boyd Hogan. We're coming to just 8 laps, make it 9 laps to go. The gap out in front down to 0.6 of a second. DeMerchant continues to reel Navarro in a second a lap faster, not a second, a 10th of a lap faster. I'll get it right eventually. As right now, Hurst is closing in on Alfala for the 3rd spot, and the way he's racing him, he may get it here.
T-Dog making his move, the driver just outside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina now, fighting the Floridian in Ray Alfala to the inside. He goes for the 2nd spot, and all of a sudden, the freshest tires amongst all of this bunch really making a difference late. He might not have enough time to get to Andrew Navarro, but he does have enough time to clear Ray Alfala. Taylor Hurst now to P3.
The margin 0.4 of a second between DeMerchant and Navarro. Coming to 7 laps to go. DeMerchant has not shown any signs of falling off. Hurst is running faster than DeMerchant, so we could have ourselves a 3-truck battle down the stretch.
How fun this is going to be, because they are going to be right on top of each other here in the final 5 laps. DeMerchant was 0.2 faster. Hurst was 0.3 faster than Navarro that last time by. The gap to the leader from DeMerchant, it's 0.2 of a second. From Hurst, it's now down to 0.6 of a second as they come across the stripe. Navarro with the 94, DeMerchant with the 75, Hurst with the 77. So DeMerchant the fastest amongst the top 3, and he is almost there within 1 truck like the Virgin Navarro, who gets incredibly loose center of the corner, and that's going to open up the door for Seth DeMerchant to go to the inside and take the race lead with 6 laps to go.
New leader, Seth DeMerchant, coming to 5 to go. Navarro couldn't hold on. Now the question becomes, can Taylor Hurst get there and make this a battle up front, or is DeMerchant going to be able to just pull away and punctuate, winning round number 1 overall by winning the last race of the season? He already leads the points. He was beating LaPrade by 136 points. LaPrade's not here, so DeMerchant likely going to win the championship anyway for round 1. Hurst gets by. He takes over 2nd from Navarro. He'll have 4 laps to make up 0.4 and try and catch DeMerchant. That last time they were even as far as lap times are concerned.
Down to the 1,000th of a second was Seth DeMerchant and Taylor Hurst even that last time by, as Hurst will ride up the racetrack a little bit more out of 1 and 2, and maybe either bleed time or gain momentum down the backstretch. We'll find out when they come back to the start-finish line and the stopwatch kicks in, but for now, it's Seth DeMerchant in control of this, coming to 3 laps to go.
DeMerchant continues to set the pace and is scooting away just barely over Taylor Hurst. Lap traffic ahead, out of the way. Petey Zeller, we keep rolling. 3 laps to go. Andrew Navarro trying to hold down the fort in that 3rd position. Hurst able to close in a little bit this lap on DeMerchant. They got down to just 0.3.
It comes down. There may have been a wall clip from Seth DeMerchant, who looks like he's starting to fight the handling on his machine. Now, here comes Taylor Hurst at the stripe. 92 to an 85. 1/10 the difference, 0.3 the gap. Hurst is going to need to get a little bit more than that 1/10 and a half to be even with DeMerchant on the final lap if he's going to make something happen.
Hold your breath. Taylor Hurst trying to pick up his first win on the season, become the 8th different winner in the 8 races that we've had. He's still almost 4/10 back. White flag in the wind. One more lap to go in round 1. Seth DeMerchant has had a strong truck all season long. He made it to contender, and while many of his Altus Esports teammates made it to the Coke Series over the winter, he could not. Redemption tour for Seth DeMerchant began back at Daytona, picked up his first win in Atlanta. He'll pick up his second today, and we will see him in round 2. Seth DeMerchant wins at Charlotte.
The Mainer is the king of the quad ovals in round 1. He gets 2 of the 3 in this round to advance into round 2 as the top driver in the point standings. And I think everything that you needed to know about why he's motivated, why he was so dominant, comes from everything that you just said, Jacob Hitz. This is a man that is motivated to join all his friends, essentially, in the Coke Series. He's been close for a few years, hasn't quite cracked the code, but we saw a lot of drivers from Altus Esports break through last year, and I wonder maybe, is this the year where Seth DeMerchant finally punches through the glass ceiling and finds a ticket to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for 2024?
He'll burn down the house here on the front straightaway. He drifted it all the way around the racetrack first. Oh, don't hit the wall! There you go.
It was close. It was close. He almost got that.
You know what they need to bring back? They need to bring back the burnout challenge that they used to do during All-Star Week here at Charlotte. They only did it for a couple years in the mid-2000s, but they need to bring that thing back.
So, extension, what you're telling me is that you just want everything to give you fuel and give you fire and give you that what you desire?
I just want, like, 2007 NASCAR back. That's all I want. I want good racing. I want good broadcasts.
You wanted Dynamite then. You wanted Dynamite.
I want Speed Channel. That's what I want. That is what I desire. I don't need
race day.
I mean, you know, whatever. DeMerchant's your winner. Taylor Hurst second. Andrew Navarro third. Ray Alfala fourth. Zach Nichols led the most laps tonight. He finishes in 5th. Boyd Hogan finishes in 6th. We'll see if that's good enough to get him in to round number 2. Agnell Phillips 7th. Anthony Burrows 8th. Blaze Crawford 9th. Kenny Humpy in the 10th spot.
11th this evening was Jonathan Delaney. Eric Royce was 12th. Logan Helton and Noah Bitts 13th and 14th. Dominic Lukumsky and Max Brady 15th and 16th. Matt Kemp was 17th. James Holzer was on the outside looking in, finishes 18th. Jake Nichols and Joseph also on the outside. Nichols in when he started 19th tonight. Joseph out when he started 20th. We'll be watching Holzer and Joseph closely to see whether or not they make top 70.
Rest of the field, Kenny Brady, Matt Danson, Christopher Pfeffer, Daniel Botafuco back there in 24th. He was on a different strategy there, hoping that the caution could come out and maybe save him. Octavio Rondoletto 25th. Kevin Champagne 26th. Kwame Scott 27th. We'll see if where they finished is good enough to keep them in. Frisch 28th. Petey Zeller 29th. Everybody from 30th on back out of the race. Larry Pace, your Daytona winner. Matheson, Kuntz, Sylvia. We will not see them in round 2. The jury is out on Eberhardt, but he did not complete a lap tonight.
And now, Jacob Hitz, the waiting game begins.
Yeah. Mostly the waiting game for people to show up and get interviews because nobody is in the building right now.
Well, how about this?
That
Since we're waiting on that, Justin Melillo, can you give us updates on what is happening in splits 2, 3, 4, anything down the ladder in the qualifying series?
I am waiting for split 2. They are coming to the green here. They're going to get 2 laps to go in split 2. Split 3 has finished. John Jenkins was the winner there. Andrew Fayash, the third, was second. Timmy Pacioli in third. Right now, it is Christopher Hill leading in split 2. I believe that is. I don't know who that is. I can't see because my computer is really bad right now. But
Eddie
somebody's in
Kerner,
second.
perhaps.
Is it Eddie Kerner? Cool.
It is Eddie Ball, exactly.
And
Well,
James
okay,
Wenzel in
so-
third.
You can see right now the finish of this. We've been given permission to do this, so don't think that we're just going in and hacking into
Thank
this.
you to
Now,
our
this is
friends
the
at
last
FTN
lap.
and LSR TV.
Here comes second place to the inside. Oh, boy. He's going to make it stick. Maybe. Oh, no, man.
What
The
a
11
finish.
wins. Barely. The 11 on the outside gets it done. Great stuff in second split.
Finish and a half. Wow.
Wow.
Chris Hill, what a win there over Eddie Ball.
Good stuff from Chris Hill. Oof. All right, we'll see where that puts him. Now, okay, for Chris Hill, this was his 6th start tonight. His 2nd win. He might be able to get himself in with that win.
So looking at unofficial points here, can tell you that Matt Forcappa, I don't think is going to make it right now. Josh Thaxton, I believe, is out. Joseph, Gary Waterworth, and Jordan Kuntz are out. Christopher Hill most likely is in with that win. That would bump Michael Bumgarner out of the top 70.
All right. We've got people, but they're not in the right place, and that's why we can't see them, except Navarro's deafened. So let's talk with Merch here quickly. Seth the Merchant bringing it home. P1, 2nd win on the season. He wins overall round number 1. I don't know how much it matters to you because of how far you were able to make it last year, but the momentum back on your side now, heading into round number 2, which arguably harder than round number 1.
I actually think it's the opposite. I think round 2 is a lot easier than round 1 because it splits all the good guys up. But it's nice to get a win tonight, finally. I feel like, we were right on the edge there the whole round 1 season. We got that one at Atlanta, but just wasn't able to get it done until tonight, and we just played the strategy perfect and had the tires, I think, at the right time, and we're able to get Navarro there right at the end. And I'm really happy because Chris just made it with that. After we talked him into running, he missed the first 2 races in the other split or in the other race, and then he got wrecked in the first race that he showed up for, race 3, and then he just made it. So it's pretty sick.
No doubt about it. Were you worried about Taylor Hurst behind you trying to chase you down on a lap fresher tires, or were you confident that once you got out in front, got the clean air, that you were going to run away?
I felt like once I had the clean air on the nose, I was going to be okay. And he was coming there at the end, and he said he messaged me after the race that he was saving fuel, so I kind of stalled him out. So I don't know if I would have been able to hold him off, but I think that with how dominant the top is when you're side by side, I don't think he would have been able to pass me. But I'm not really sure what his real pace was since he had to save gas.
First repeat winner of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series here in Top Split. We'll see you next month from Mid-Ohio. Hope you like turning right. We'll see you then.
I'll probably get 15th.
That's at the Merchant, your winner tonight. Here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll talk with our 3rd place finisher, Andrew Navarro, with James.
Andrew, you played the strategy there a little bit and came in earlier than everyone else. Just first and foremost, take us through the thought process to try and leapfrog everybody by just a few laps and what the thinking was behind that.
I don't know, man. It's kind of embarrassing at this point. I'm known for making dumb things or doing dumb things on pit road and just pit strategy in general, and I did it again. So I could have gone like 3 more laps. I had 3 more laps of fuel, and I don't know why I pit, honestly, but I just thought everyone else would come in around 60, and they didn't. So, yeah.
And then the last like 10 laps or so, how difficult was it to try and hang on to that thing?
Yeah, I unsealed the nose. I tried to short fuel, and then I ended up putting like 17.8 still in it, and just unsealed the nose. I was under taped, and I don't know. It's just embarrassing to finish third after I had like a second lead before pit stops.
Maybe not the finish you want tonight, but round 2 was your strong suit last year. But given that you made round 2 and made it to contender and contender didn't go your way, is there a part of you that's almost looking beyond round 2 and or maybe not necessarily taking it for granted, but trying to race in round 2 with a bigger idea in mind, and that it's not just about qualifying for a contender, but it's about preparing yourself for good runs in contender?
Yeah, I mean, I basically need to do everything that I didn't do in contender last year because I was horrible. But I feel like we've been building good Xfinity cars, and obviously we have fast trucks. Just can't mess up. And before we can even get to contender, we got to go through round 2. So only 20 people make it, so it's going to be really hard. And we just got to keep our head down and try to hopefully win some races.
Andrew, congratulations to the podium finish tonight. We look forward to seeing you at Mid-Ohio in July.
Thank you.
Well, that's Andrew Navarro, and yeah, round 1 is done. We're still waiting on a couple of splits of the bottom half to wrap up, and then we'll know exactly who is in and who is not. But we know for sure one thing, that Seth DeMerchant is in. He wins round 1, and we for sure we'll see him in round number 2 back where it was just a year ago.
Lots of fast names, and I look at that group, especially in the top 20, and just sort of scrolling through the list here. It's all redemption stories. It feels like DeMerchant has to qualify in that group. Navarro definitely is in that group. Ray Alfala is absolutely in that group. Brian LaPrade was the first person out from contender last year. He wants another crack at it. Logan Helton has been here before. So there are a few names that we've seen that have gone in before and done this a while, and a lot of folks that are going to be taking round 2 as an opportunity to work their way back into the Coke Series. This is not a crop of drivers that has a lot of standout rookie pace, a lot of new names. This is folks who have chips on their shoulder that will be trying to make it into the Contender Series. So it's that side of the coin that we look at. And also maybe it gives an opportunity for some of the folks who haven't necessarily been part of this rodeo in the past few years. I think of an Agnew Phillip is a relatively new name. Noah Bitts hasn't really been in this position before. This is the best that Jonathan Delaney and Jackson Crowder, to my knowledge, have run in the qualifying series. Kyler Wynn, also new name. So there are a few as well that'll be looking to establish themselves as some of the fastest up-and-coming drivers in eNASCAR. But redemption story certainly headline, I think, the crop of 70 that will go into round 2 of the qualifying series in July.
No doubt about it. Well, I think that's going to do it as far as we are concerned. What do you mean almost, producer Zach? What else you got planned? I don't know if I want to see what we've got. But what does that mean exactly?
I think I know. I think I have an idea.
Upcoming? Okay, yeah, we can do that. Do we know where the All-Star race is yet for FTF, Justin?
No.
All right, well then the Barville FTF Cup Series is back on Saturday at to be announced Motorsports Park for the All-Star race. That's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Winsdale has
Autodromo there. It's
Oh, awesome. We're doing the Monza Oval. Love it.
Oh, geez, Jacob, take the fun out of it. My goodness. Let me ask, because I'm going to ask the question anyway, because there's going to be a good joke. Would Tony Hawk appreciate the All-Star choice? Justin.
I don't know where you're going with that, Pike, but we might be making right turns. We might be making left turns.
Can you jump? Can you jump? Can you do a barrel roll? Can you do a barrel roll?
Can you do a barrel roll? I guess. I don't know what you're asking me right now, James.
Winsdale's at Sonoma on June 4th. That's a Sunday at 8 o'clock. They've got this weekend off. FTF1 is at Spa tomorrow night, 8:30. Sparry and Atterbury will be here with you for that. Simcar is at Indy a week from tonight. Fourth split, excuse me? I thought fourth split was done. We have results from...
It is sixth split where Hank Steinmiller came into
I thought
tonight.
6 was done.
He's currently 231 points out, but is leading. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that gap. Or now he's in second. Okay. All right. Well, that might just...
We'll see if he can get there. Nonetheless, also coming up, Core is back. Holy crap. In 2 weeks. Monday, June 5th, 9 o'clock at Daytona. Core Summer Series kicks off. Last lap here in whatever the hell split this is. Let's see how this wraps up. Steinmiller. Here we go. Oh, he set it in. Oh, he turned him. He wrecks Clark. Steinmiller gets tipped back at the racetrack, but he holds on to the lead. Can he hold on?
Can Anderson make a run? Can Dutton make a run? Here comes Anderson with all sorts of momentum on the high line. Is there gonna be enough to get past Steinmiller out of turn 4? I don't think so.
It.
Hank Steinmiller is going to win the 6th split. The question is whether or not that will give him enough points to get him up through the ranks and get him into the top 70. I will say, though, Jacob Hitz, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about the Core Summer Series.
Yeah, looking forward to missing the whole thing. Yeah, so Road to Pro's done. It's over. We'll see you in July. Oh, we got beef. Hold on. We got beef. We got beef. He's going to get turned. There he goes. That was weak. All right.
Hank needed 231 points by the spreadsheet that I'm looking at. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to get it with this win. He might come really close, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tight.
Denny Hamlin, appropriately, he's in the number 11. Denny Hamlin here trying to stop a burnout.
Hey, we've got Gus the Ant himself in chat too. So let's give a big shout out to Gus the Ant for all the work on the unofficial spreadsheets and the live points that we have relied on for many, many years, whether or not it's FTF or elsewhere, to help you all deliver all the stories, all the sales, and every single twist and turn that plays out in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. As we see some of these point totals come in from some of these last splits, we see everything happening live now here. So to our understanding, we are just waiting on one more split's worth of points. We are all done, I hear.
Hold on, the sheet is broken.
For a split second, and then it'll come back to life. But
there it goes.
I'm about to say
Steinmiller only got 204 points, so he's
it
was close. It was close though. He's only out by about 20, I think, just off my.
Steinmiller right now 113 out.
But he dropped 86 points too, so he was definitely not even close.
So this is it. This is the unofficial official CNN FTF.GG projection of round 2. Seth DeMerchant, we knew that. LaPrade, we knew that. Nobody on this first page really surprises us. Couple of different names that we haven't seen this year, Crowder and Peddle. This second side here, I saw Kyler Wynn. A little surprised he's up there, but I think he's been in second split most of the year. Cody Harris is in. James Houghton is in. Kwame Scott makes it after he had issues tonight. Trayton Lapsovich from the Pinty Series, he's in there. Jake Nichols, Eddie Kerner, we saw him in second split. Kevin Champagne survives, he's in. Brad Wright will advance in the 40th spot. Let's go to page 3. Daniel Smallwood, Brennan Meal, Spencer Kostowicz.
I don't think
Austin Johnson's on there. Johnny Avila. Nate Stewart makes it, 48th. No?
Nah, these are
I don't
old.
think that's right.
These are
Zach,
old.
you're fired. All right, I'm going off the sheet. Nope. Amateur hour's done. Here's what I've got off the sheet from
I trust
Gus
the sheet
himself.
more. Yeah, that's
DeMerchant, Navarro, Alfala, Phillip, Bitts, LaPrade, Brady, Kenny Brady, Helton, Delaney, Humpy, your top 10. 11th, Crowder, 13th win, 13th Mercurio, 12th win, I'm sorry, 14th Frisch, 15th Nichols. Yeah, Zach, your sheet was way wrong. Burrow, 16th, Kyle Peddle, 17th. Taylor Hurst makes it in 18th. Matt Kemp 19th. Blaze Crawford, Kerner, Pfeffer, they were already locked in. Spencer Burns 22nd. He advances. Mitchell Hunt, Hunter Gogan, he's in. Daniel Smallwood, Daniel Botafuco, James Houghton, Brad Wright, Christopher Hill, Hunter O. Johnson, Charles Grant, Max Brady, Timmy Pacioli, Jack Coyne,
And
Jake
then,
Nichols,
the
Kwame
fun
Scott.
part. Nichols, Scott, Avila, Dalton Collins, Alex Kolinix in 40th, Michael Venable 41st, 42nd, Cody Harris. Trayton Lapsovich does still make it in 43rd. Brendan Meal was 44th unofficially. Spencer Kostowis 45th. Kevin Champagne 46th. Connor Yuroshak in 47th. Austin Johnson 48th. 49th, Matthew Zwack out of the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. James Wenzel back to fight in round 2 after being there a year ago. He's 50th. Jesse Kaplan was 51st. Brandon Pipgrass 52nd. Philip Groner in 53rd. Yusuf Gali 54th. Cole Hooper 55th. Dominic Lukumski 56th. Blake Neer, Caden Rush, Luke Knupp, and Tanner Love, your top 60. And then the final 10 names. Boyd Hogan's run tonight was indeed good enough to get him into the top 60. He finishes 61st unofficially. Daniel Eberhardt, even with the trouble, finishes in the top 60. Top 70. He was 62nd. Brandon Hanna and Tommy Gossett made it in 63rd and 64th. Matthew Bear was 65th. And then the final 5 drivers. 66th in points went to Thomas Hazard. 67th in points was Joseph Causey. 68th, even with the trouble he had in top split tonight, James Holzer makes it in. And the final 2 drivers tie 3 points to the good on the cutoff line. They are in the 9th or 69th or nicest position, depending on how you look at it. John Jenkins, and the last driver to make it, Chris Wetz. Ryan Hill is the leader of the Heartbreak Hotel just outside the top 70. Nate Stewart is 72nd. Alexander Russell, Eddie Scherer, Ashton Slice just missing out. Kevin Dyke, Lane Graves, Justin Lowry, Raul Alvis, and Cabe McClenny. And then you see some of these names here who were fighting for a spot and had much less of a chance here. But John Jenkins, Chris Wetz, just, and the magic number on points that you needed to hit, 1,478 with the drop.
I don't know why we had a gradient there on that first sheet. Look there with Hill, Stewart, and everything. So obviously, if people were to drop out or decline their invitation or what have you, that would allow some of those folks 71st on back to get in. But nonetheless, heartbreak for some of those folks. As we go backward now, we'll go back up through. Hit some of these folks once again. You're in the top 70. You're getting an invitation. Round 2 of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. If you're on the outside looking in, see you next February. So Seth the Merchant wins round 1. That's all from round 1. From Charlotte Motor Speedway. For Zach Johnson, our producer, Justin Malillo in the pit lane, Hollywood Hotel thing. For James Pike, I'm Jacob Pitts. Seth the Merchant, your winner at Charlotte. The top 70 is locked in. Kinda. We'll see the top 70 in a month from Mid-Ohio. Good night.